Hello, this is a quick overview on the process of breaking down a project. Very often, what we do when we are given a very large project is we tell ourselves that we have lots of time, maybe the entire semester or half the semester, to really get everything done. And part of that is over optimism of how much time we actually have. But the other part of it that can sort of fuel our procrastination is that they seem really impossible to accomplish. So we just sort of put it off and make it future me's problem. But projects are best accomplished when they are broken down into smaller, manageable, and measurable tasks. It is important that you are able to know when you're done with a particular task. So, how are you able to do that? What can you do? The first thing that you need to do is identify the timeline. So, when is the project due? And then the second step is to identify all of those final products. So, this is when you need to make sure you are going back and looking at a rubric if possible, in addition to just looking at the prompt itself. Sometimes you're going to find a little bit more information on the rubric about what the paper or project is going to look like, and most importantly, for how you are going to spend your time. You can identify how the points are broken down, and that can indicate which parts are higher priority and require most of your energy and time. After you figure out what that deliverable really looks like, then you have to identify all of the tasks. This is the process of breaking things down. Sometimes professors will already give you intermediate deadlines. For instance, they might say you have to have a topic picked out by this time. But if they don't give you those things, it is very important that you come up with those yourself. So, some examples of those might be choosing a topic, finding 10 articles, reading the articles, making an outline, and meeting with a tutor. And these are just some examples. Sometimes it might involve creating graphics, sometimes it might involve creating a PowerPoint, sometimes it might involve conducting an interview. You really need to break down every single part into as small pieces as you can, because that will allow you to fit it into small gaps in your schedule, as opposed to trying to find very large chunks of time. This also helps you not get burnt out. You then need to look at that final deliverable and look at the small steps, and for each individual step, you need to estimate how long you think it's going to take to complete each task. And it is important that you write this out in hours and minutes, and that you are as specific as possible. People do tend to underestimate the amount of time something will take, so it is suggested that you build in some buffer time as well. Then you need to work this into your planner. It is very important that you have a singular location where you have all of your tasks, whether it's school or home or sports. If you are constantly toggling back and forth between calendars, you will inevitably double book yourself. So, what do you need to do? You need to work backwards. You need to take that last deliverable and work backwards from the checklist and say, okay, I said this is going to take X number of hours. What day can I get this done? And you need to write a start date and a due date for each task. So if you have to find your articles, unless you're starting it and completing it on the same day, you want to start and a due date. So if you have a draft of an essay, maybe you start it on Monday and you have it due to be completed by Saturday, and you break down each individual task day by day. Make sure you are working around your other projects and life events. Do not double book yourself. Also, make sure you're planning in buffer time if at all possible. Plan in an extra hour or hour and a half here and there for each of your tasks. Now, let's review the steps to breaking down a project. First, we want to identify the timeline. Then, we want to identify the final products. Next, we want to identify all tasks. Then, we want to estimate the time needed to complete those tasks. And lastly, we want to pull all of that into our planner. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.